Hi, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. So, I thought we could look through more of this best selling albums of all time book. And I kind of want to skip to. Part of me felt like I should do a decade that I wasn't as into, but it's been crazy lately, and I just want to do something that I'm really going to enjoy. So we're going to do my favorite decade. You guys will never guess. I actually marked it because I feel like it gives away stuff if you get to the wrong page. So here we go. The 1980s, baby. Oh, yes. The most bodacious era. The most awesome. All right, so what this book is not the best albums of a decade by any other metric than best selling. So, and this book's probably a little bit, let's see, what is it dated? I forget. Because I don't know, like this is from 2015. So I don't think they're counting streaming. It's probably just the best selling during that particular decade, I assume, and not future sales. It says, based on recording industry sales figures, best-selling albums of all time is the definitive guide to more than 100 chart-topping records of the past 6 decades. Okay, well, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Who cares? Whatever. Okay, so we have the soundtrack to Top Gun coming in at number 20. And you know, in the 1990s, when I worked at the Red Lobster in Mesa, Arizona, my friend Stephen had this in his car, this CD, and he was like, it's the best music of all time. And I kind of teased him because that seemed kind of corny. But then we'd always listen to it in his truck, and I'm not kidding, it was like so good. So I was wrong. There's Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, Mighty Wings by Cheap Trick, which I can't think of what that is, but I bet if I heard it, I bet I'd know it. Mighty Wings. Playing with the Boys by Kenny Loggins. That might be the song they play when they're playing football or volleyball on the beach, whatever they're playing, I don't remember. Lead Me On by Tina Marie. There's a name you don't hear anymore. Tina Marie. Take My Breath Away. The love theme from Top Gun by Berlin. That's a good one. Take my breath away. Hot Summer Nights by Miami Sound Machine. I used to like Miami Sound Machine. They always had like all the good songs. Heaven in Your Eyes by Loverboy. Through, it says YHE. I think that's supposed to be the Through the Fire by Larry Green. Destination Unknown by Marietta, and Top Gun Anthem by Harold Faltermeyer and Steve Stevens. So there you go. Top Gun, number 20. Not in a million years would I have guessed that would be the 20th biggest selling album. But here we are. Here we are. A highly macho film about wannabe fighter pilots. Top Gun's military posturing and gung-ho heroics blazed a trail through cinemas around the world in the mid-1980s. Yeah, they say it's released in 1986. So what do you guys think will be the number 19 album? Actually, what you should do, stop the video and write down what you think will be the top 20. I have guesses, but I won't say them because I'm probably right. I don't want to ruin the surprise. I'll tell you what, after we're done, I'll talk about what I'm surprised wasn't in here, if there are any. Also, I saw the page before that had some hints. All right. Next is, that's a good one, Van Halen 1984 album, which included the songs. Let's see how many we know. I imagine most of them. 1984. I've listened to this album plenty of times. Off the top of my head, I couldn't come up with that, but it's like an intro kind of thing. Jump. Go ahead, jump. Panama. Sorry, I won't sing. I promise. Okay, Panama. Top Jimmy. Drop Dead Legs. Hot for Teacher. So silly. That video's actually kind of awesome. And that drum beat in that song, it's like, I know it's not, great. I'll Wait. Girl Gone Bad. House of Pain. Spandex Over Substance. How dare they? There is little doubt that rock music in the U.S. had lost its way by the early 1980s. Who's writing this? Big-haired spandex-wearing rock bands were all the rage. But for the purist, image prevailed over substance. I'm sorry, I read that sentence. I was like, wait, what's that sentence? Big-haired spandex-wearing rock bands were all the rage, but for the purist, image prevailed over substance. Van Halen were one of the few purveyors of the genre to largely maintain their credibility while still carving out chunks of chart action with hits like Jump and Panama. Yeah, there were definitely some really cheesy air bands, like very cheesy. Frontman David Lee Roth left the group in 1985. Yep. This album cover, it's a baby who's got angel wings, who has like a cute little pompadour hairstyle, and he's smoking cigarettes. I mean, so this came out in 1984 and sold 10,500,000. What did this one sell? 10,300,000. All right, let's see. What's next? Number 18. Whitney. Love Whitney Houston. This album sold 10,800,000. It was released in 1987. And the songs that we all know. I'm kind of excited to read it. Okay. I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me. Oh, such a good song. Just the Lonely Talking Again. I will say that I think that in my group of friends, like, we were kind of more like new wave or punk, and I would probably not have admitted my love for Whitney. But I always thought Whitney was freaking badass. All right, Just the Lonely Talking Again. Love Will Save the Day. Didn't We Almost Have It All? That's a good one. So Emotional. I get so emotional. Great song. Where You Are. Love is a Contact Sport. Mm-hmm. You're Still My Man. For the Love of You. Where Do Broken Hearts Go? Oh my God, it's a good song. I Know Him So Well. Yeah, it's a good one. The Money Decade. The 1980s, while a period of gross unemployment in many industrial sectors, saw unimaginable inflation of salaries in many professional sectors, particularly those of finance, IT, and advertising. What does that have to do with Whitney Houston? I don't know. All right, what do we think is number 18? Number 18. Lionel Richie, Can't Slow Down. I am a fan of Lionel now. Like, I like these, but I have to admit, during the 80s, I found him a little corny. And I don't know that I knew until late 80s that he was the same guy who sang Brick House. I was like, wait, what? That's him. Because he just was so corny in the 80s, you know. But a lot of these songs are great songs, so just you know. But it was kind of like what you'd hear on the adult contemporary station, not the rock and roll station. So let's see, Can't Slow Down had 11 million album sales. It was released in 1983, so I was only like 12 years old. And The hits were Can't Slow Down, All Night Long, All Night, Penny Lover, Stuck on You. Oh my God, Stuck on You is a great song. I love that song. Love Will Find a Way, The Only One, Running with the Night, Hello. That song, Hello. That was kind of cheesy. But the video, I've probably watched it a million times. And that is a quote from Hello. Okay, let's see what's number. What did we? African American music in the 1980s. On one side was pop soul, a broad style that concentrated on ballads or funk style. The classic representatives of pop soul were artists such as Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Lionel Richie, and Prince. I bet we've just seen some of our other top. All right, number 16. Madonna, Like a Virgin. Yes, absolutely. I had this album and listened to it a lot. My sister didn't like her and would always talk about how bad her voice was, but I loved her. Album sales 11 million. A release date 1984. This is like all hits, guys. Are we ready? Let's go through them. Material Girl, Angel. I can't think of Angel, but I'm sure. I must know. Like a Virgin, Over and Over, Love Don't Live Here Anymore, Dress You Up, Shooby-Doo, Pretender, and Stay. Okay, I admit, without hearing them, I don't remember some of it. While there was no doubting the quality of Madonna's music, she also built her fame upon I got stuck half sentence upon the ability to shock, particularly through pushing her heavy sexuality. She began releasing solo records in 1982 with sexually provocative videos and lyrics, giving her instant notoriety. In 1985, Playboy and Penthouse magazine released nude photographs of Madonna dating back to 1977. And in the same year, the erotic film A Certain Sacrifice, which Madonna had made in 1979, was also released. Yeah, when that all happened, I think there was a push to, just bury her from pop music. But because she had already been like, no, this is who I am, like, buyers of records just were accepting of it, like, okay, so what? Because before that, any woman who it turned out she had ever posed topless or whatever, they'd just get erased from history. But she doubled down on that stuff, so it was kind of. The sexual content of Madonna's personality was most forcibly expressed in the 1990s with singles such as Justify My Love, I love that song, and Erotic, accompanied by explicit videos and the publication of her book, Sex, a soft porn photo book, which, despite critical animosity to the publication, helped the Erotica album to sell 2 million copies. Yeah, I was studying journalism for a minute in college, and I can't remember the details, but I have this memory of part of my reporting. I went to the little tiny courthouse in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and they were debating, I don't know whether to take that book, and I think it was the Mapplethorpe book, off the shelves at the library, and there was contention, and maybe it was just town hall or something, I don't remember. And I had to write an article about it for a college class, so I saw all the photos and was like, whatever. Okay, Faith, 1980. George Michael, I love him so much. Oh. There is a documentary on Netflix about Wham. I think it's on Netflix about Wham. It's good. It's really good. And I can't think of the name of the guy. The other member of Wham really talks about how George, he did all the songwriting, music writing, most of the singing, but he really liked having his friends around. But at a certain point, him and Andy, I think his name was, realized that his music was now growing to a point where it was not boy band Wham. It was more mature, like really good music. And so he told him, like George Michael, he told him, George, you gotta go do your own thing. Like, I can't, the Wham is holding you back. And so that's when he came out with this album, I think. Something like that. All right, so this sold 11,400,000, and it was released in 1987. And it had the song Faith, which is a great song. Father Figure, I Want Your Sex, Part 1 and 2, One More Try, Hard Day, Hand to Mouth, Look at Your Hands, Monkey, Kissing a Fool, Hard Day, and A Last Request, I Want Your Sex, Part 3. George Michael would not openly declare himself gay until 1998, following his arrest for lewd conduct. The 1980s, however, saw openly homosexual and transsexual artists become major pop successes. Bands such as Culture Club, Bronski Beat, and Dead or Alive were fronted by figures who declared their sexual makeup in dress, lyrics, and public statements. They did accept that. Still, like, everybody knew, Boy George Michael, they would say that. They would write music. And yet everybody was like, are they or aren't they? And also, who cares? All right, number 14. Of course, U2, the Joshua Tree. My only surprise with this is that it wouldn't be higher up. But, yeah, I would actually thought. I'm trying to think what other. In the 80s, they had War, Boy, Joshua Tree. I would have thought this would have been their biggest selling, and I'm trying to think if there's another album I'm forgetting. Anyway, let's see. So this has, it sold 12,700,000. It was released in 1987, and it has the songs Where the Streets Have No Name, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, With or Without You, Bullet the Blue Sky, great song, Running to Stand Still, Red Hill Mining Town, In God's Country, Trip Through Your Wires, One Tree Hill, Exit, and Mothers of the Disappeared. This is a great album. It's a really great album. This album, I think they had come to America, and I think on their tour they kind of went through the Southwest or something and decided they wanted to, I know what it was. I think they went to the South, and some blues musicians were like, hey, come play with us. And now I forget the details. Was it The Edge? I think it was, or maybe it was Bono, I think. And they said, hey, play us something and we'll play along with you. And he was so embarrassed or shy to play because he knew these guys were so much better, but they all played blues with him, and he really got into learning more about the blues. I think I could be totally wrong, so don't quote me, but so then they came and they recorded this album with sort of a Americana, Southern Southwest feel to it, whatever that means, but it does have that feel. Live Aid concert. Live Aid is one of the great cultural landmarks of the 1980s. Yeah, in November of 1984, the single Do They Know It's Christmas, written by Bob Geldof and Midge Ure, was recorded by 36 of the UK's top musicians and artists, with all proceeds going towards famine in Ethiopia. What year is that? 84. I think that's the year that Wham! George Michael's like, we need to write a Christmas song that is really good and that will be a #1 hit. And they decided they wouldn't do that. And so Andy, is that his name, Andy? I keep forgetting. Anyway, he says George went upstairs that night and came back down the morning and said, okay, I'm done. And he went to the studio by himself, recorded every instrument, and sang all of the Wham Christmas song. Wait, I'm having a blank. Hold on. Last Christmas. Good grief, my brain went on standby mode for a minute. And so as soon as they were done, they're like, that's it. That's the number one hit. And then Live Aid came out and bumped them off the number one. Okay. It is fun to go back and watch the videos for Do They Know It's Christmas or We Are the World, because you see all the old, not old, but 1980s stars in their glory. It's really interesting. I did a video about We Are the World. Oh, I forgot to have you guess, but Def Leppard, Hysteria. I wouldn't have guessed this, but I should have, because this, I feel like this t-shirt, every burnout at my high school had this t-shirt on, all of them. And everyone knows all these, Def Leppard hit songs for sure. That was on the radio all the time. Let's see. Woman, Rocket, Animal. Love Bites. Yeah. Pour Some Sugar on Me. Armageddon It. It's a dumb song. Gods of War. Don't Shoot Shotgun. Run Riot. Hysteria. Excitable, and Love and Affection. I know I've told this story before, but in my junior high, the principal came on over the overhead speaker. We were in the middle of a math test, I recall. And he said, we have found a wallet. And on the wallet, it says Dief Leppard. If Dief Leppard could come to the office together. And you could hear everyone in the whole school bust up laughing. But ever since then, I have called them Dief Leppard. On December of 1984, Def Leppard drummer Rick Allen was driving along the A57 near Sheffield in his vintage Corvette Stingray. A sad story, guys. He lost control, the car overturned, and Allen's left arm was torn off at the shoulder. God. Medical teams were unable to reattach the arm, so it looked as if Allen's days as a drummer were over. Something the rest of the band would not accept. An electronic custom drum kit was built for Allen, replacing left arm functions with a series of foot pedals. Today, the kit mixes electronic drum pads with acoustic snare, bass, and cymbals. That's awesome. The one-arm drummer. All right, what's number 12? Let's see. We've had U2. We've had Def Leppard. We've had George Michael. Okay. We haven't had any. We haven't had the Police. We haven't had Billy Joel. I'm guessing one of those. We haven't had Yes, I loved Yes. Oh, well, I would have thought he'd be higher. Well, he probably is. I bet. Okay. This album, I skipped this album in my life. I don't know. Let's see what's on here. Michael Jackson, Bad. We have Bad. Okay, we all know that song. The Way You Make Me Feel. Oh, yeah. Know that song. That's a good song. Speed Demon. Nope. Librarian Girl. Just Good Friends. Another Part of Me. Man in the Mirror. I Just Can't Stop Loving You. Yeah. Dirty Diana. Smooth Criminal. That's a good song. Leave Me Alone. Yeah, I guess I know most. I don't know some of these, but I know most of them. Yep. I think they were on the greatest hits. That's probably why I know them. He sold 13 million in August of 1987. Yeah, I wasn't into Michael in 87. The 1980s saw video become a near essential tool of music promotion. And from 1981 music video found a streetwise new channel on which to broadcast. MTV. Yup. Okay, what's next? Number 10. Oh, of course, Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. I kind of forgot about you, Bruce. Oh boy, this is too many to, just like everything, Bruce, it's long. All right, we'll just look for the hits. What do we have? We'll go through them all. Are we? Yeah, okay. Thunder Road, Adam Raised a Cain, Spirit in the Night, 4th of July, Asbury Park, yeah. Sandy, yeah. Paradise by the Sea, Fire, Growing Up, It's Hard to Be a Saint in the City, Backstreet's Rosalita, Come Out Tonight, yeah. Raise Your Hand, Hungry Heart, Two Hearts, Cadillac Ranch, You Can Look But You Better Not Touch, Independence Day, Badlands, Because the Night, Candy's Room, Darkness on the Edge of Town, oh boy, here we go, Racing in the Streets, This Land Is Your Land, Nebraska, Johnny 99, Reason to Believe, Born in the USA, Seeds, The River. The River, I love The River. The River is probably my favorite. War, Darlington County, Working on the Highway, The Promised Land, Cover Me, I'm on Fire, Bobby Jean, My Hometown, I love that song too, Born to Run, No Surrender, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, and Jersey Girl. Yep, it's a lot of hits right there. In the early 1980s, music became increasingly available in a new format, the compact disc. Yep. All right, what's number 10? Most sold album. Oh, yeah, Dire Straits, Brother in Arms. I hadn't even thought of them. Yep. My sister was a fan of Dire Straits more than me, but I listened to them a lot because of that. Okay. 1985. They sold 13,500,000. And the hits, or the songs were So Far Away, yep, Money for Nothing, Walk of Life, Your Latest Trick, Why Worry, Ride Across the River, The Man's Too Strong, One World, and Brother in Arms. Yeah, it's a good album. Animated, although the video for Money for Nothing was cutting edge at the time, computer animation had been in development since the 1950s. Oh, well, okay. However, it was during the early 1970s that the computer-generated images reached refinement, with Cornell University producing architectural walkthroughs on screen and Pennsylvania University creating rudimentary human figure animation. There's a documentary on, nothing to do with Dire Straits, but a documentary on Disney Plus about the animation studios, Star Wars animation studios. I can't think of the name of them right now. Oh my God, it's in the tip of my tongue. Anyway, and they talk about the moment when they kind of flipped from practical animation to computer generated. It's interesting. It's an interesting story. I forgot to ask. Okay, number 9, Dirty Dancing. Yep, I believe that. Everybody. I think I even own this album. Somebody gave it to me, but I listen to it sometimes. All right, this is 1987, 13,500,000. And it had on it, I've Had the Time of My Life. Yeah. Be My Baby by the Ronettes. She's Like the Wind by Patrick Swayze. Hungry Eyes by Eric Carmen. Stay by Maurice Williams and the Zodiacs. Yes by Mary Clayton. You Don't Own Me by the Blow Monkeys. Hey Baby by Bruce Channel. Overload by Alfie Zappacosta. Love is Strange by Mickey and Sylvia. Where Are You Tonight by Tom Johnson. And In the Still of the Night by the Five Satins. I think in the 80s there was a lot of this kind of compilation albums or not like, well, soundtracks that had a lot of 1950s style music, because there was a definite interest what's the word, in 50s music. So like with the rockabilly, or the Stray Cats, and I know there was another band I was gonna say, I can't think, but like the Stand By Me soundtrack and the Dirty Dancing. I think maybe even Beaches, For the Boys had like 1940s music. I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of that kind of music. And I know because my parents were from the 50s, I had all their 45s, and I would listen to those all the time. So I knew all that music like by heart. Oh yeah, and Footloose. Yeah. While films such as Dirty Dancing and Footloose, that might be one of the big sellers, pulled in good money for studios, they were dwarfed in box office performance by the decade's major genre, the action adventure. The two power names in the industry were George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. Lucas opened the decade with the Star Wars trilogy. With Spielberg, Lucas also launched the Indiana Jones series. Yeah, E.T. Yeah. What a year. What a decade for movies. So good. All right, what's number 8, guys? Now, I would not have guessed this for number 9, so. But now I realize Footloose is probably going to be one of them. All right. Phil Collins, No Jacket Required. Yeah, I mean, it was on the radio all the time, so that should not be a surprise. 1985, 13,900,000. I would not have thought number 8 for some reason, but I don't know why, because, I mean, look at these songs. Okay, Susu Studio, Only You Know and I Know, Long, Long Way to Go, I Don't Want to Know. I can't say I know any of those songs. I mean, I know Susu Studio. One More Night, Don't Lose My Number, yeah. Who Said I Would? Doesn't Anybody Stay Together Anymore? Inside Out, Take Me Home. All right, I admit, I was thinking like One More Night, Don't Lose My Number, Take Me Home, and Studio. Yeah, I'm surprised this is number 8, but I think maybe because he was so popular with In the Air Tonight. I think that came out in the 70s. So probably he had multi-generational, like Susu Studio song would sell to the younger people. But then older people were buying his because they liked him in the previous decade, maybe. I don't know. I'm not that familiar, I have to admit. People who worked on this album included Sting, Peter Gabriel. That's all, I just saw Sting's name. I wonder if he sang on one of these, I don't know. All right, number 7. Here we go. Bon Jovi, yeah, Slippery When Wet. Yeah, I should have guessed that. This was on the radio constantly. Bon Jovi was everywhere in the 80s. 1986, 14,100,000. Let's see, what songs do we know here? Let It Rock. I don't know if I know that. You Give Love a Bad Name. Yeah. Living on a Prayer. Social Disease. Wanted, Dead or Alive. Raise Your Hands. Without Love. I'd Die for You. Never Say Goodbye. Wild in the Streets. I know some of those. While Bon Jovi was toning down its cover for Slippery When Wet. Oh, I think I heard about that. He had some kind of too sexy looking thing, I think. Slippery. A dramatic change had occurred in the music industry, this time relating to lyrics. Concomitant? What is this word? Concomitant. I've never seen this word before. It's C-O-N. Wait, I have to show you. Because I know a lot of words. I think I know words than your average person. All right. See that word, concomitant. What? You learn something new every day, friends. With the rise of rap music, so at the same time as, I guess, and some of the extremes of heavy metal, sexist, racist, anti-law, and explicit lyrics had become commonplace. Concerns over the lyrics led to the formation of the Parents Music Resource Center in the United States, headed by Tipper Gore and other powerful women. The PMRC successfully pressurized the Senate and the Recording Industry Association of America into introducing voluntary warnings of explicit content on the covers of all albums from 1985. That's so everybody knew which ones to buy. Yeah, there's always something that's going to be very dangerous for children. All right, Whitney Houston, number 6. Now, we already had Whitney, right? Didn't we? Which album? What did we already have? I forgot to let you guys guess. Michael Jackson, Def Leppard, George Michael. It's 22, Madonna, Lionel Richie. Oh, we had this one, Whitney Houston. Just called Whitney. Okay, and this one's called Whitney Houston. Okay. 14,300,000. 1985. You Give Good Love. Yeah. Thinking About You. Someone for Me. Saving All My Love. Nobody Loves Me Like You Do. How Will I Know? All at Once. Take Good Care of My Heart. Greatest Love of All. And Hold Me. This album deserves its standing in number 6. That's a good album. I've never owned it. I've never listened to it all the way through, but the songs I know are good. While the 1970s were the era of disco, the 1980s were the era of nightclub. Fun. All right, what's going to be number 5? I can't think. I don't know. Oh, of course. I mean, this should be number 1 in my book. Purple Rain. I myself have probably bought the album, the cassette, the CD. I've streamed it. Purple Rain, Prince and the Revolution. Every song's a banger. Here we go. Let's Go Crazy. Take Me With You. The Beautiful Ones. Computer Blue. Darling Nikki. When Doves Cry. I Would Die For You. Wait a minute. I would die for you. Oh my gosh. It's been too long. Baby I'm a Star and Purple Rain. You know, a lot of these albums, one of the things with streaming, and I don't have a paid streaming, I just do whatever I can do for free. So it's probably different if you have paid. But they never play the album in the order it's intended. And I hate that because, like, a lot of these albums, the songs kind of work into each other. And these artists thought about how they wanted to place the songs. And it makes me nuts. They just randomly choose songs. So that's why I'm glad to have a car that still has a CD player. I can put in my album and listen to it all the way through. Alternative 1980s fashions. While the 1980s were the decade of power dressing, with male and female professionals donning wide-shouldered power suits, bring them back. It was also the decade of extreme fashion experimentation. What you wore depended on the movement to which you belonged. If you were a new romantic, frills, lace, and historical pastiches were the order of the day, creating a dandyish, narcissistic look accented by heavy, bright makeup. The goths, by contrast, dressed with Bela Lugosi morbidity, with black and obligatory color scheme, and styles that included references to fetish wear. Massive, crimped, and back-combed hairstyles usually completed the gothic look, along with skull motif bootlace ties and other ghoulish jewelry. I can say, as a person who grew up during this time, I mean, I was 10 to 20. It's my prime time. I think for a lot of us, you didn't like pick, I'm going to be a goth or I'm going to be a new romantic. It was just like, I didn't even have these words. I'd never heard new romantic or goth, honestly, before. But because I definitely had like a ring that had a snake on it. I had, what else are they saying here? I had a lot of goth stuff, but I also had a purple jacket and I wore some lace for sure. I wore lace gloves like Madonna. I don't know. It's like you just mixed up whatever you wanted. I think that was the fun. All right. Oh, I forgot to do a guess. We would have guessed this too. 1980s, number 4, born in the USA. Released in 1984, which might be the best year in music. Look how many of these: 84, 85, 86, 85. 84 seems like a pretty good year. All right, album sales, 16,500,000. Not so million songs. Let's go. Born in the USA, Cover Me, Darlington County, that was on the other one, Working on the Highway, Downbound Train, I'm on Fire, No Surrender, Bobby Jean, I'm Going Down, Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark, My Hometown. That's a good album. All right. Oh, number 3. Did you guys already see? I didn't see. It's got to be Police, like Synchronicity or something, right? We haven't hit the Police yet. Nope. Guns N' Roses. Okay. Appetite for Destruction. Yep. This came out late in my high school time. I remember going to visit people at college, and they would have Sweet Child of Mine. They put the speakers in the windows facing out at Michigan State University, and Sweet Child of Mine would be ringing out through the campus. So that must be on here, unless it's on their next one. Let's see. Welcome to the Jungle. Good song. It's So Easy. Night Train. Out to Get Me. Mr. Brownstone. Oh, that's a good song. Paradise City. My Michelle. Think About You. Sweet Child of Mine. You're Crazy. Anything Goes. And Rocket Queen. Axl Rose was the true wild child of the 80s, living the dream of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Born in Lafayette, Indiana, on June 6, 1962, and named William Bruce Bailey, he had difficult, abusive upbringing in the hands of his father and then stepfather, and later a religious zealot who tried to force William into repressive religious mold. That doesn't work. Interesting. I don't know much, I guess, about the band, really. All right, number 2. Drum roll, please. I can't think. I don't know. We haven't had Billy Joel, I feel like. He had like wasn't it like 83 Glass Houses came out? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Billy Joel. Let's see. Because number 1's Michael Jackson, Thriller. It's got to be. Back in Black. Oh my gosh. I listen to this all the time. My friend Lynn and I drove around listening to Back in Black. Like, all the time. AC/DC. Every song's a hit. Here we go. Hell's Bells. Shoot to Thrill. What Do You Do for Money, Honey? Giving the Dog a Bone. Let Me Put My Love Into You. Back in Black. You Shook Me All Night Long. Have a Drink on Me. Shake a Leg. Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. This is so good. That's a good album. I mean, for partying, for fun. It's fun. Angus Young, Brian Johnson. What does it say? Bon Scott was to be AC/DC's frontman for 6 years, during which time he took the group to superstardom. He was born in Ronald Belford Scott in Kirriemuir, Scotland on July 9th, 1946, and dropped out of school at 15 to play with a rock group. By the late 1960s, he was already a recording artist. His fame concentrated in Australia, where his family had moved when he was young. Following stints with the fraternity and the Valentines, in 1973, Scott had a serious motorbike accident and was in a coma for several months. Oh my gosh. A year after his recovery, he joined AC/DC, and between 1974 and the end of the decade, the group climbed higher up the charts with their albums. In true rock and roll style, however, Scott developed problems with alcohol, and on February 19th, 1980, he died after a heavy drinking bout. Ugh. Wow. That's wild. I can't imagine. I mean, I shouldn't say this, but I can't imagine being able to drink enough to kill yourself. Like, I throw up before I get there. You didn't want to hear that, sorry. All right, what's number one? Thriller. It's gotta be. There's no other. Yeah, okay. Michael Jackson, Thriller. This album was ubiquitous in the 80s. I mean, it came out in 1982? And there were hit songs from this album. I could be wrong about this, but I feel like every year through all the 80s, it was like one number one song after another, and they'd stay on the charts for a very long time, and then another song, and then another. That's my recollection anyway. All right, so the songs are Wanna Be Startin' Something, Baby Be Mine, The Girl Is Mine, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, Human Nature, PYT, Pretty Young Thing, The Lady in My Life. One time my sister and I were singing PYT, and we were like doing the whole bit, and my niece goes, "What does that stand for?" And it was fun because, kids were all using these things we didn't know, and we knew people. The Thriller single video demonstrated that while good music would always sell, its marketability would be dramatically improved with striking video visuals. Yeah, that video was pretty fun. Made in 1983, the video was unusual through its length. At 17 minutes, it stood more as a mini film than a pop track, and featured plot and dialogue, as well as stunning dance and song scenes. Yeah, I remember buying Pepsi and Oreos and watching the Thriller music video with my family. It was like going to be on, I guess, MTV or TV, I don't remember, one night, and they told you when, and everybody